Nice to have you with us on a Saturday morning, 8:02. A lot to do here with the golf doctor Charlie Epps. As far as getting your questions in on the way to the golf course, he's going to answer those for you. As far as the world of professional golf, the PGA Tour has three fall series events left. Remember, for all players who are outside the top 70, they will lose their cards, their PGA Tour cards. They'll lose their jobs if they're not inside the top 70 by the end of fall. You've got the Worldwide Technology Championship going on right now at Diamante at El Cardinal Tigers course. We've got the Bermuda Championship next week. We're going to have Monday qualify for the Bermuda Championship. Eric West on at 8:30. He Monday qualified for that event last year, did it again this year. So we're going to get him on at 8:30 to preview the Bermuda Championship. And he's also a master craftsman, club designer at Paradise Golf. We'll get the latest on that as well. Charlie, how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good, although I'm running a few minutes late. That's not fun, but it's nice to be with you on this Saturday morning, and we got a little chill in the air finally.
Yeah, it's about
Uh,
time. We
yeah.
got some cooler weather on Wednesday. I feel like Thursday and Friday were a little bit more on the humid side, but it is nice to feel the fall weather rolling in, Charlie.
Well, the PGA Tour is an interesting place to have a job because you can lose it real quick.
I mean, as far as the pressure that goes on this time of the year, we've talked to a couple guys that have gotten through Q school, but this time of the year where you're not seeing as many of the stars play. You do have Rory McIlroy and some other European stars playing in the European Tour playoffs right now over on the DP World Tour. That's going on at Yas Links in Abu Dhabi right now. But as far as the PGA Tour, all these guys playing over the next 3 weeks are grinding for their jobs and grinding to get into that top 70. Because if not, you either go down to the Corn Ferry Tour, and if you finish outside the top 125, Charlie, you've lost your job. It's pretty amazing. As far as what's going on in Cabo right now. Nico Vacheveria, he's going for a second straight PGA Tour win at the Worldwide Technology Championship. Echeverria won the Zozo Championship in Japan 2 weeks ago, held off Justin Thomas and Max Gracerman. Going to try to do it again this weekend, Charlie.
Yes,
The
and
Colombian.
it's a Colombian golfer that he's played golf in the United States, and he knows what it's all about, and good little player.
Yeah.
And the golf courses, like the one over in Japan, suits his game. But he's on a hot, and this is the nice time of the year for somebody like him to be, on a hot because now he's got a job for 2000. What years are going to be?
Yeah.
2025.
Yes, sir. 2025. And yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he had a horrible year, Charlie. He won the Puerto Rico Open back in 2022 as his first PGA Tour win. He said after his first win, he felt awful. He felt a lack of motivation, struggled for a couple years, finally got it together with the driver. That was his big issue. We saw that last week, and you're exactly right. Echeverria went from a guy who looked like he was going to lose his job to now punching his ticket to every signature event in 2025. He's going to play in the Masters.
A Masters.
Going to play in every major. It's amazing how quickly things can change from a golf doctor perspective. We heard some interesting sound from Echeverria about the improvements he's made with his driver. Let's hear a little bit of audio from that.
Just something we've been working for a while. I tend to hit off my right foot. Like, it's hard for me to get the weight into the left side, and I just committed to a certain movement, trying to almost hit it like a JT movement, hitting it up on the heels. That it's something that I'm never gonna do, but it's something that I want to feel. And I was just hitting the middle of the face, and it was going a long way.
Well, the big word in all of his comment right there was feel. Feel is his own, and it might not look what he's doing correctly, but it works, and you can't argue with success. And you look at Scotty Scheffler, his footwork is more like a Muhammad Ali in the shuffle,
Yeah.
So more power to him.
Jack picked up his heels to some extent. Is that right?
Yes, sir. His left heel.
Yeah.
his left heel. And today,
Do you recommend that to amateurs as a source of power?
it depends on your ability. And Jack was a great athlete. He played all the sports. So his teacher got him to use his feet a little more. So he was a big man in college, and he had to get his hips moving better. And with that left heel coming off the ground, and then to start the downswing, he put it back to the ground as his left hip opened up, and he could hit it 8 miles.
Wow. And it's still a move that is modeled a lot today, especially with the newer players. You see all the. I mean, we've got the Spirit International Amateur coming up next week. I was watching some tape on some players that are going to be there, and they're doing the same thing, Charlie. I mean, I don't want to say, balance in the swing cannot be, talked about enough, but through the swing, guys like Scheffler, Justin Thomas, it looks like balance in the golf swing has taken a bit of a backseat, at least with the driver these days. Is that correct or incorrect?
Certain players do certain things. And if you look at Scotty Scheffler, the number one player in the world, his footwork was like Greg Norman's. It helped him move a little more laterally, and it got his hips and knees working. One of the timers that taught a lot, he'd have you take your left knee behind the ball when you got it teed up with the driver. And in order to do that, you had to let your left heel come up off the ground. But as long as you keep your head steady, you're going to return back to the impact area with great frequency, because it's a rhythmic type of deal. And once you get on the golf course and you get your confidence, Katie by the door.
Yeah, it's something that's worked very well for Nico Vacheveria. Once again, going for his
Echevarria.
Echevarria.
Hey, there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah. It's when I'm speaking about him in a sentence, it's a lot more tougher. I'm tempted to just call him Nico. He went to IMG Academy, my alma mater, and he was about 4 or 5 years older than me. So I would see him on the range, but an eighth grader looking at a senior who's committed to Arkansas. I didn't play too much with him. I will tell you, this guy chasing him this weekend, Max Gracerman, he was part of the top of the leaderboard at the Zozo Championship, which was the last PGA Tour event, and he came up one short of a playoff with Echevarria and Gracer and Justin Thomas. Gracerman's back in the mix this weekend. He shot 8 under yesterday. Made a caddy change. I actually know his caddy very well. His name's Adam Palmer, and we've seen Gracerman come up short 3 times in his last 6 starts. He just has not been able to hold it together on the back
Is he a
nine.
hothead?
He speeds up, Charlie. He starts walking quicker when he's in contention, and his tempo speeds up. And I think this new caddy, Adam Palmer, this guy is he brings a zen mentality to the equation.
Zen.
I'm hoping he can slow him down a little bit. I like Gracerman a lot. Great player out of Duke. But we'll see. So that's what's going on as far as the PGA Tour. El Cardinal Diamante. It's the first Tiger design to ever hold a PGA Tour event. They're on their second year.
Right. His first one was here in Houston, out in Cyprus.
Really?
Yes.
What course was that? Tiger designed Golf Club of Houston?
Yeah. No, not Golf Club of Houston. It used to be called Blake Tree. It's out by the Woodlands, west of the Woodlands.
And it held a major event?
No, it has not held a major event.
Okay. But so Diamante, the course they're at in Cabo, that's the first Tiger design to ever hold a PGA Tour event.
In Mexico.
In Mexico. What did he design in the States that holds a PGA Tour event?
He hasn't.
No? Okay. So across the PGA
Poor
Tour.
little.
Yeah. Now, Charlie, as far as, and we'll get back to the PGA Tour action in the Worldwide Technology Championship later in the show. Once again, we'll preview next week's Bermuda Championship with Eric West at 8:30. He's in the field playing. Charlie, David Ledbetter wrote an article on Rory McIlroy this week, and Rory's making a little bit of a charge at the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. He's trying to bring home his sixth Order of Merit. Um, and Ledbetter voiced that the only thing that's cost Rory in majors is an outside takeaway. Do you agree?
During the majors, I've never really been up close and personal, or I saw him at the Masters a couple times. So, but I've always, his takeaway is straight off the ball. He's really wide. He doesn't go outside, so I'm not really quite understanding what David is saying. I'll look a little closer, and maybe we'll get some tape on that.
Yeah. We'll review the video. We got to take a quick break. This is the Charlie Epps Golf Hour presented by Insperity. Once again, Eric West at 8:30 playing in the Bermuda Championship next week. He'll join us then. Quick break. We'll be back after this.
The Charlie Epps Golf Hour, powered by Insperity, continues
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Will Doctor and Charlie Epps.
Nice to have you with us. Let's get to a couple questions. Once again, you can get those in at ESPN 975 on X. This one comes in from Justin. Charlie. Charlie, I saw a Sports Illustrated writer mention that President's Cup and Ryder Cup captains should be voted on by the fans. What do you think about that take?
Oh, that okay, but I think they should be voted by the players and the executives of the PGA Tour and the Ryder Cup committee to do that, because they know everything, and they know the person, the individual, and it's a big job, and you can't really get somebody picked by people that aren't really in the know. So I really would not suggest doing that.
As far as the past two team events we've seen, Jim Furyk did an excellent job with the American President's Cup team. Stacey Lewis did an excellent job with the Solheim Cup team.
You just interviewed him.
Yeah, I talked to Stacey Lewis a little bit on Thursday. It was actually Whispering Pines director of golf, Chris Rowe, that interviewed Jim Furyk and Stacey Lewis. But I did talk to Stacey after for a long. I've interviewed Stacey Lewis several times. Great friend of the show. Is a great interview. One of my favorite players on the LPGA tour. But after the interview, we talked about the spirit. She captained the Team USA team in 2019 and 2021, and she did a great video for us, kind of wishing Team USA good luck. And I also congratulated her on an excellent win at the Solheim Cup. Her captain's picks were sensational. Lauren Kaufman, a 32-year-old American who is making her Solheim Cup debut. She really played excellent. I thought Stacey did a good job, especially after that heartbreaker. She captained the Solheim Cup 2 editions in a row, and that first one in Rome really did not go that well. So it was good to see her, get a win, and that's monumental. Furyk and Lewis, two Hall of Famers, and if the fans were picking, I just don't think they have a good enough feel of the game to to really pick a captain. I mean, are you kidding me? You need a captain who has a good relationship with these players.
Well, one of the most important things a captain does during that whole week is food, to make sure everybody gets their diet that it's sensitive,
Yeah.
because if get everybody to have food poisoning
Yeah.
out the door. I
Yeah.
mean,
Bubba will, like Bubba, he'll only eat chicken tenders,
yeah,
Charlie.
chicken
So,
tenders. Wow.
next question here from Richard. Charlie, the club fitter here at the course said I need a weaker club shaft as my club head speed starts to drop. I want new heads, but the fitter says that's not the issue. Do shafts matter that much?
I mean, it is the club. The shaft is your hands are attached to the shaft, and the shaft really must be the right flex for you to really be able to accelerate at the right moment. And yes, the shaft is the most important thing in the driver, because the heads can all be pretty much the same, but the shaft is the length of the shaft, and then how it flexes, how it loads going back. The new nuance of the club fitters and all the information that we have. The shafts today are magnificent, and that's one reason why the ball is going so far for these great players.
Yeah, when I was well, my first question to that was, didn't we see Phil Mickelson a few years ago shorten his driver shaft, pretty substantially?
Yeah, there's people that do that.
Yeah.
They're testing, back and forth. But I think if you can visualize the pole vaulter, now that shaft has to be really spot on for his size and his speed as he puts the pole into the pit to flex it, and you can see the flex that has to 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 propel the player or the jumper over that 20-foot
Yeah. Yeah.
so
And
uh,
that's the same as far as a stiffer shaft for someone that swings very hard versus a little bit of a weaker shaft for
yeah,
the slower player.
exactly right. and
Yeah.
and, and when you load the shaft, so shaft technology is you know, really good today.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was talking to Adam Palmer, the caddy for Max Gracerman, the player who's tied for the lead in Cabo right now, he said Max is using one of these mini drivers, off the tee most of the time, one of these mini heads.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about it? It kind of looks like an old school driver.
Well, he wants to get it in the fairway,
Yeah.
and like when Tiger came out on the tour, uh, Butch Harmon wouldn't let him have anything longer than a 43 and a half driver. That way he was much more in control with that length of a driver instead of 44 or 45. And now the USGA has even banned a even longer driver. You can't do that because the ball really goes far.
Yeah, no, and Gracerman, who I was talking about, leading the driving distance among the top 36 players in the field in Cabo, is getting it out there about 316 on average with that mini driver. Very impressive. And the driver did cost him at Sedgefield at the Wyndham Championship at the end of the spring. Had it going right through the whole final round at Sedgefield. I'm rooting for Gracerman this weekend. I think he's going to get the job done as far as the action in Cabo. Charlie, next swing question. This I read this week from Randy Smith. On world number one, Scotty Scheffler. He said the only thing we've done with his swing has been what was needed to keep the feeling of the club face awareness in place, not fix things that other people think look less traditional. No way in hell was I going to mold him into a swing I felt looked good. Unbelievable. Furyk talked about the same thing earlier this week about how parents would go up to his dad and say, "Hey, is Jim going to change his swing anytime soon?" And he'd have college coaches come visit, and the college coaches would come over to Mr. Furyk's house for dinner and say, "We can't wait to get your son here and change his swing." And Furyk's dad would say, "Well, he's not coming to your school."
I thought that was really great. I mean, Mr. Furyk, who's a golf professional, and teacher all his life. He knows what the heck he's talking
Yeah.
about. And Jim, he's like the fourth all time money winner. Uh, but that motion he does is just it fits his body
Yeah.
type and his muscle structure. Those are things that you've got to understand. Certain people can't do certain things because either their right shoulder's frozen or their wrist it doesn't hinge correctly. So you got to do some things that most people don't know about.
But as far as Randy Smith and Scotty, it's that they aren't focused on too much outside of club face awareness.
Yeah.
And what can the amateur golfer at home take away from that?
Take a lesson from Randy. No, I mean the basic thing that touches the ball at impact going at 100 miles an hour is the club face, and so the club face has to be square to the direction the ball you want it to go, and so then you got to work with the grip, you got to work with the shaft, you got to work with grip size. There's 5 or 6 important
Features, characteristics,
no, I would say
variables.
technical setup, the right loft, the right distribution of weight where the ball hits the club. There's so many
Yeah.
technical things that go into the fitting of a golf club.
Oh. And as far as when we'll see Scheffler next, I don't think it'll be until the spring, the Century Tournament of Champions. But Randy Smith, obviously the best coach in the game right now, working with Gary Woodland as well, who is mounting a very impressive comeback after brain
I would
surgery.
say Randy Smith has the best player.
Yeah.
Just like Butch Harmon, his brother said. Good thing about Butch is he gets the best players. Not that he knows anything
Who do you
more
think the
than.
best coach in the game right now is behind yourself?
No, I'm not. I'm retired. They've gone by me. So my grandson, who I take out to a new instructor, who's really good, and he's really come along. The new technology and the new philosophies are a lot different than. I'm more of a Model T player.
Yeah, well, it still comes down to the fundamentals of the game, right, Charlie?
Yeah, you got to have the right verbiage to motivate your player and to make him understand what you want him to do.
Yeah.
And but as long as that golf ball is going where he's looking, now you got it made.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're a business owner looking for HR companies, you got to motivate your people as well.
Always Insperity, a company that has started from zero. Now it has over 4,000 employees. It treats their employees just best place in Texas to work, and they take care of their customers. Their customer relationship is so important, and that they understand, what Insperity sees and how they can help them, and that's why this winter, if you got a spare time, look up Insperity on the web, and if you want to grow your business for 2025, give them a call, and they'll come out and explain what they can do for you or what they can't do for you. So they're our sponsor for how many years? Incredible.
I think 30, Charlie.
They're the best.
Once again, that's insperity.com to find an incredible HR company that can make a huge difference in your business. Insperity.com. As far as the professional golf is concerned, at the Worldwide Technology Championship at El Cardinal, you have Nico Vachiveria and Max Gracerman in a tie for the lead at 12 under. Couple other big names up there. Maverick McNeely in a tied for fifth at 9 under. You have Tom Hoagie, friend of the show, was on the show 3 weeks ago. He's at 8 under, only 4 back of the lead, chasing his second PGA Tour title. Good to see Hoagie up there. And then as far as the DP World Tour at the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship, that's probably the marquee event going on this weekend, even though, it's in Abu Dhabi and you have to stay up all night to watch it. Great leaderboard there as far as, Shane Lowry's in a tied for third at 15 under. Robert McIntyre in a tie for seventh at 14 under. Rory was up there. He shot 3 under today. He's a tied for 13th. So Rory's gonna have to make up a lot of ground heading into the action on Sunday. We're gonna take a break.
News.
Yeah, that's all spam, Charlie.
No,
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. This is this is hilarious. These are campaign texts, you know? Yeah, we got to take a quick break. This is the Charlie Epps Golf Hour presented by
President
Insperity
Trump wants
HR.
to interview me.
Does he? What number is that from, Charlie?
Don't worry about that. How about that?
Campaign spam. The golf doctor himself.
No, it's not.
We got to take a quick break.
President Trump likes me.
Rory McIlroy said that President Trump is going to expedite the PGA Tour live situation. We'll see. Rory says a lot,
Yeah, but Trump emailed me right here.
That's unbelievable. Congratulations, Charlie. That's big time.
You don't believe it, do you? You're like my wife.
Charlie, if we're speaking honestly, you're getting a lot of texts from President Trump from multiple different numbers, and all these numbers are like 7754. I'm all for it. Like if the campaign, emails you or something of that nature, and I hate to break your heart, but I think a lot of this is spam going on. You might need to take it to the AT&T store, get your phone cleaned out. We'll be back after this break.
You're listening to the Charlie Epps Golf Hour on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Powered by Insperity.
From the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Will Doctor and the Golf Doctor himself, Charlie Epps.
I will take it over to the guest line and welcome in the great Eric West. Eric is a phenomenal player. We're going to get up to date on whether I want to call him a professional golfer. I want to say maybe the last time we talked, he might still have his amateur status. We'll get an answer there. But he's not only a great player, he's played in PGA Tour events. He played in the Bermuda Championship last year. Has played in the Corn Ferry Tour event. Qualified once again for next week's Bermuda Championship at Port Royal. Eric, congratulations. Thanks for taking some time to join us again.
Hey, Will. Hey, Charlie. How's it going?
Doing very well.
Thanks for having me on.
Eric, first question. Have you kept your amateur status or are you officially a pro?
No, I'm still an amateur. The pro game left me behind a long time ago. And so, I'm just trying to compete as an amateur and see how I do.
Qualifying for the Bermuda Championship for the second year in a row. How was the qualifier? How were the nerves? What did it take to get through?
Well, this year I was playing a lot better going into the qualifier, but invariably the weather, something you can't control, and it was raining sideways, windy, and actually played really difficultly, and I put together a good round on the second day of the qualifier to qualify. I ended up getting through by 2 shots, but it was a little scary there for a little while, but, pulled it together and here we are.
Charlie Epps here. Congratulations. And you continue, working your dream, but whose business is doing better, your wife's or yours?
If you ask her, she would tell you it was mine, but the truth is that it's hers. So it's actually, we're talking about it yesterday. We landed into Bermuda late last night to start the prep down here, and we were talking about just the golf company and how difficult it is to keep launching new products, and just sort of the challenges, some of the challenges that I've been having getting the company off the ground.
Well, when I told my wife that you were coming back on the show from last year, and she says, who? And I said, the one that has the wife that sent you the pretty hat. She says, will she do that again?
Yeah.
No.
We can for sure do.
So congratulations to your wife, but and also the way you remain an amateur still, and you get to play it in the Bermuda tournament, and that does that help your business of really selling golf clubs?
Yeah, I think one thing it really did do last year was because I played the equipment, and some other players started playing the equipment because I played with them either in practice rounds or during the tournament. I was able to get a manufacturer's credential for the PGA Tour, so I'm an official manufacturer on the PGA Tour now, and I'm also playing the clubs, and a couple other guys are playing the clubs too. So I've been able to go to a few events on the regular season schedule, and try to promote my brand on the tour, which is garnering me some really good feedback, some tough feedback in some cases too, about just what they're looking for, what kind of changes we had to make, and that's influenced my kind of like my next product cycle that we'll be launching in 2025.
Well, we just had a listener send us a question, and really it boiled down to how important is the shaft in a golf club? How important is the shaft in a driver?
Yep. That's a question for me?
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny that you asked that because I think the big innovation right now is the shaft. And in my set right now, I've got Project X 6.5 shafts in my wedge 9 iron. Then I switched to a LA Golf shaft, the Bryson shafts that are one length in my 8, 7, and 5-iron. I have a steel fiber 95-gram stiff shaft in my 6-iron. I go back to Project X in my 4-iron, and then I switch over to the Diamano whiteboard in my 5-wood, 3-wood driver. And I've got a TPT shaft in my putter.
So,
And and so I really think that if you treated each club like a driver fitting, so everyone knows you go into a simulator these days with all the tech, and you do a driver fitting. It takes you a long time to find out which, head weight, what loft, what lie you need, what shaft, grip, etc. Really, you should be doing that for every club in your bag. And I started doing that after last year's tournament and kind of before the Corn Ferry event last year in January. And I started to find out that I needed lighter shafts in my longer irons that were a little weaker, but they were tipped, so they would kick the ball a little lower. And I've actually gained a lot of distance doing that. Like my 7-iron goes about 180 to 185 now. My 6-iron is about 205. And my 4-iron is about 225. So I got a lot of distance from doing that. My driver, I cut it down to 44 inches, made it a lot lighter, added some loft. Now the ball goes a lot straighter. And we can only do this because of the shafts. I couldn't play around with the flexibility or weight in the shaft if it was steel. So I would encourage everyone to go out and just say, hey, look, to whatever fitter you have at your disposal, what are the newest shafts? Don't think because you had a 125-gram shaft in your irons before that you need to stay there. I would, fool around with the 80-gram iron shafts, 95-gram, 110-gram, and just see what kind of ball flight it produces for you.
Eric, once again, you told us last year when you came on the show that obviously the goal was to qualify for some PGA Tour events and some Corn Ferry Tour events. But as you mentioned, you're now a credentialed club manufacturer inside the ropes. And I know that was a big goal of yours. And at what did you say that you needed to qualify for 3 PGA Tour or Corn Ferry Tour events, and you would be given that credential? Was that accurate?
I think the clubs, so not necessarily only played by me, but just played by anyone, had to make something like 7 starts on any tour. So it could be the Senior Tour, could be the PGA Tour, or the Corn Ferry Tour. And at the time of credentialing, which happens, somewhere around, like middle of the winter, they start asking, hey, who wants to apply for a credential for the new season? And I think I had just enough clubs making starts to get that, and they granted me the credential, and so I had it for the season, and now we have more starts than we probably need. So I'm hoping that I'll get re-credentialed for 2025 also.
I know you spend some time during the year in Florida, but how familiar are you with Port Royal? And how often do you get to play this golf course as someone that resides in Bermuda for at least a portion of the year?
Yeah, well, I've been playing Port Royal since I was 3 or 4 years old. It used to be a different golf course. I'm not sure if Charlie would have played it in the Bermuda Open back in the day. It was a big event back in the 70s and 80s that used to grant an exemption into the Masters.
Did you ever play
So
that, Charlie?
if you look at the Bermuda Open winners, you've got Billy Andre on there and lots of names that are, that we would all recall.
Yes, I never had the chance to play in it. Okay. It's really really neat what you've done as a youngster, and you had such success, and you never really went professional. I don't understand that.
Well, I played as a pro from 2006 to 2013, and then faced with going back to Q school or going back to school, I just chose to go back to school. I got my master's and PhD pretty much in the time from 2014 to 2021. And I didn't play any golf at all. and I only started playing golf again really to start doing the R&D on my golf clubs. And I got this great new kind of like a launch monitor just for putting called the Capto, and it takes a 3D analysis of your stroke, and it also counts how many putts you're hitting. And so I'm testing a new head, and I was hitting all the putts, I figured, but one session in one day I hit something like almost 1,200 putts,
1,200.
which I never really did when I was a player. And so I'm practicing a lot more. I guess you could call it practicing. I call it testing. But I guess you're hitting so many putts and chips and iron shots that with a lot more intention than I would if I was just playing. And so my game got a lot better, a lot more quickly than I think it would have had I just been playing. But obviously playing as an amateur is much different. I'm not trying to, I'm not entering the tournament thinking I have to make the cut to put food on the table like I used to think. And so I'm trying to compete. I'm trying to make the cut. But I'm doing it, with a full-time job, with different kinds of support. I don't have any sponsors that will, get angry with me if I miss a cut. So it's a little different.
Eric, last question for you here. I know last year when you played in the Bermuda Championship, you know, Paradise Golf had a presence at the tournament. How will you
Mhm.
balance that presence with going about your preparation for next week?
I think it's tough. I think for anybody that has started a small business, it's all on you whether it succeeds or fails. And I played really poorly last year, and I felt like I didn't represent my brand very well. And I feel like I represented myself just through being a good sport, I guess, about it. But it is tough when you're hitting an iron that you created, and in some ways people correlate the bad iron shot to the club not performing. And so the clubs do perform really, really well. I just need to play better to give the equipment more credibility, and I'm hoping to do that this year.
ParadiseGolf.co is where you can find Eric West's phenomenal clubs and wedges and putters. Eric, anything our listener needs to know about any new releases or any new equipment that Paradise is going to release here over the next few months? Anything in the works?
Yeah, I'm not calling it a relaunch, but I've really gone back to the drawing board and tried to make the wedges a lot more forgiving while also being forged and milled. I think the wedges were a little hard to hit, and so we're relaunching the wedges. We're going to relaunch the putters in the spring and make those a little more forgiving also. And I'm launching a cappy back in the spring too. After some feedback around people not wanting to play the blades, but I've got the 5-iron of the new set in the bag for this week for the tournament, and so I'll post on social media what that looks like and how that performs.
Awesome. We'll make sure to share and stay in touch with that, Eric. We appreciate your time. Play well next week at the Bermuda Championship. Keep up the great work as far as Paradise Golf is concerned.
Good luck to you,
Great, I
Eric.
appreciate it.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
Charlie.
coming on.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.
That is Eric West. Once again, he'll be playing in the Bermuda Championship next week, which we can watch on Golf Channel there at Port Royal. We got to take a quick break. This is Charlie Epps Golf Hour presented by Insperity. Back after this.
This is the Charlie Epps Golf Hour on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Powered by Insperity.
Now from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Will Doctor and the golf doctor himself, Charlie Epps.
All right, so on the break, just talking with Charlie here about if he's been down to Bermuda. I had to ask as a coach. You mentioned with Eric West that he didn't play the Bermuda Championship, which is surprising. I feel like you've played just about every tournament. You went there in 2009
Yes.
with a great group of champions.
Right. Uncle had won the Masters. Lucas Glover had won the U.S. Open at the course in New York.
Beth Page.
Y.E. Yang. The winner of the British Open was Stuart Sink.
Yeah. Beat Tom Watson.
Anyway.
And then Y.E. Yang took down Tiger for the first time ever, 2009.
So I go over to the British Open at 2009, and I'd been having trouble with my bladder, and the doctor gave me a permission.
And that was the Trump Turnberry, right?
Yeah. Trump Turnberry.
Did Trump own it at that time?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
And so it's Saturday afternoon, about starting the back nine. I wasn't feeling that good, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't go. Nothing. So I walked back to the clubhouse.
So you've got to go, but you cannot do it.
Could not do it. So something was really wrong. So I go back to our house and I pack up because I'm supposed to meet my daughters and wife after this tournament in Spain, where I met my wife, and it was, but here I am having a bladder problem. But luckily, in outside of
so is it like trying to hold in, like if you're in a movie and trying to, you got to pee, but you got to hold it in? Does the feeling just accumulate?
Oh yeah, it was big time.
Jeez, Charlie.
So I get a car and they take me. Luckily, there was a hospital about 2 miles from where I was staying.
Yeah.
And they had specializing in urology. So I went in there, and they relieved that blood had done the deal. It locked it all up, and so I watched the British Open the next day in this ward with about 10 other people, and it was fun. And luckily it was just a momentary hiccup.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to Spain. And but traveling sometimes can get very difficult.
Yeah. Was Angel in the mix in 2009 at the British at all?
He was playing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He made it to the weekend, do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
So what was the situation there with the 2009 major champions and the deal in Bermuda? Did they get invited to Port Royal?
Yeah, the PGA of America had the Grand Slam every year. At the end of the year, they invited the 4 major winners. And it's been a very successful tournament, but once again, the calendar got too complicated, and it was hard for the players to give up that time, and so they discontinued the tournament.
Yeah, the PGA Tour season is about 46 years or 46 weeks out of the 52-week year. I mean, I think it's the longest professional season out of any sport. You mentioned Lucas Glover. He won the 2009 U.S. Open. He had a couple words this week about the potential changes that are going to be made to the PGA Tour in 2026 as far as cutting the fields. He heard about the PGA Tour potentially cutting the fields down from 156 to 144. And, Glover has a show on Sirius XM, and he lost it, Charlie. He said, they keep. He said the PGA Tour continues to hide behind its slow players instead of increasing the pace of play and enforcing actual shot penalties to pace of play. If you're too slow one time, you get a 1-shot penalty. You get warned again, that's 2 shots. 3 times, you're out of the tournament.
Yes, and that's the way it should be. And for some reason, the rules committees are afraid To if you play slow, it's documented. It's right there. But they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't get that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like an umpire in baseball. If the if the player says boo to him, he can throw him out of the game,
Yeah.
and he does that. So some of the slow players are really something's got to be done.
Yeah. For some, there's a junior golf tour um, in California, and they put everyone on carts, which I don't love. I think it's important as a junior golfer to get ready to walk a lot of holes. In college, you play 36 holes one day and 18 the next. But they put them all on carts in this junior golf tour in California, and if they're not done inside 4 hours, they just pull them off the course.
Hmm.
Turn in your scorecard, your round's over.
Yeah.
I think it's a great practice. We talked about a couple of the changes, the PGA Tour, and what they could potentially make in 2026. Um, I think there's 2025, the schedule will be the same. They are talking about decreasing the number of players in the field from 156 to 144. They're talking about taking away some of the Monday qualifiers. We just talked to a Monday qualifier in Eric West. Uh, Monday qualifiers, as we talked about last week, great for the pro trying to make it, grinding week to week. Number one, number two, great for PGA of America. They host them each and every week, and I'm sure it's a nice level of funding for the PGA of America. Those are expensive to play in.
Yes, that is, but that is not a reason to promote slow play.
No, yeah,
I mean, you got to face the facts. And in a modern day golfer, we can have they increase the speed of a baseball game. It made a lot of difference.
yeah.
Um,
They
you
put a
know,
shot clock on them.
we got to have clocks on because there's no reason for one player to upset 20 players because he's slow,
Yeah,
or even on the LPGA tour.
yeah,
So slow play it hurts the game, and it's because people are selfish and they don't care about anybody else except them,
yeah,
and that's not right.
yeah. We need a shot clock in
Yeah.
golf. I think
Yes.
that'd be a great thing.
Yeah.
Let's answer one more question before you get out of here, Charlie. This comes from Ethan. What's your rule when it comes to how far apart your feet should be over the golf ball? Is it better to be more wide or narrow?
It depends on your physique, but most people will tell you, instructors, your stance should be as wide as your shoulders, if not a little wider. And I think the wider the better, and help your balance, so on and so forth. Now, when you become a senior and your balance is questionable to start the day with, then you've got to mess with it and decide what's your footwork going to be. But the number one player in the world today shows us that he looks like he's dancing the Mexican
Yeah,
hat dance. But his, his footwork is in tune with his arm swing. So those are those you don't touch. But the basic width of a stance should be a little wider than your shoulders.
yeah, yeah. A little bit like a shortstop.
Yeah.
As far as setting up, getting ready, a shortstop stance, ready to field the ball to some extent, just outside the shoulders.
If you say so. No, that's a good point. I'm sitting there. That's a good analogy. They've got to be able to move at the crack of the bat.
Yeah, yeah. All right, great work today, Charlie. We're out of time here on the Charlie Epps Golf Hour. We'll see you next Saturday. I will be live from the Spirit International Amateur Championship. Each one of you can come watch that at Whispering Pines Golf Club. And we will talk midway through the Bermuda Championship. This is the Charlie Epps Golf Hour presented by Insperity. Talk next weekend.
Bye bye.